Welcome to Freelance Sucks. Here we discuss the dark side of freelancing about which nobody usually talks out loud. In this show, we speak with experienced freelancers, and I'm sure listening to their stories helps you prepare for freelancers' challenges. My name is Yuri. I'm community builder at Code Control and 9am.works, and my guest is Tom Kozacinski, a freelance product designer and consultant with over 16 goddammit, years of experience, podcaster, coach, mentor, and Sir-Freelance-a-Lot. So, welcome, Tom.
Hi, Yuri. Thank you for having me. It's really a pleasure. I really look forward to this.
Sir, for you, what is the most challenging part of being a freelancer?
Okay, so if I have to choose just one of the largest challenges in my life was trying to figure out when do I work and when do I do everything else in my life? Because especially when I was starting out, it kind of all blended in. When you're a freelancer, you're always working. So it was, and I don't like the term work-life balance because that kind of feels that you're balancing out the things that you don't like. So I've heard years ago, there's a term that I think was from Tony Robbins that was work-life integration, which means I'm a freelancer and a designer all the time, right? But I need to find a way how that piece of my life where I'm working with clients integrates into everything else and how I can work around it so I still have a time to do all of the other things that I want to do. And when you're starting out, you're chasing recognition and accolades and clients and you want to earn money, and it's easy to forget that there are other things to do apart from, even if you enjoy your work and you love doing what you're doing. I really, at that point, I was building websites. I really enjoy doing that, but there are so many other things that you need to focus on. And for me, decoupling those two things and crafting times for myself outside of my business and outside of stand-up comedy was something that I challenged myself to do. But that was number one.
Have you seen the Severance on Netflix? Where
I've seen the trailer. I've heard a lot about it. It's on my list, but I haven't seen it yet. So no spoilers. I know what it is, but I'm looking forward to it.
If you saw a trailer, there it won't be any spoilers because the main idea that it splits your brain into two parts, like work and life. I guess that's the only one thing how you can get work-life balance, you know. And like, what is one tip? Like, how did you understand that it's not a work-life balance, but it's a work-life integration? Like, what did you tell yourself which helped?
When I started out, when I quit my first job, I had a colleague that I worked with who was also a web designer. He was a senior. And I told him, like, hey, let's both quit our jobs and start a company together. And he said, I don't care about running my own business because working for a company, he at 5 p.m. when he leaves the office, he's done and he forgets completely about it, comes home, hangs out with his wife, opens a beer, has chips, watches TV. And that's what he wanted to do. And I was like, okay, cool. I respect that. But I don't stop being a designer at 5 p.m. I'm always thinking about projects. I'm thinking about solutions and things that I want to do. So the number one tip, how to stop doing that, is to know what you really enjoy, like what do you enjoy outside of work, and then making time for that and actually spending time on that without computer, without mobile phone, without, like, not gaming. Like if you can game, like I'm not saying, but like try to do something like with your hands that is outside of computers and IT and shit like that. And then that helped me a lot, just to go out in nature. I love hiking, I love riding a motorcycle, so I kind of did that.
Yeah. And for you, what is the most time-consuming thing you must deal with as a freelancer?
Oh, it's the admin work for sure. So if I look at back when I started freelancing, I didn't know that I'm going to do so much taxes and reports and finding clients and doing my scheduling and a lot of stuff that goes in that nobody prepares you for. There's no school for it. There's no like, oh, when you run your business, you're going to be doing your 6 other businesses on the side that you don't care for. So it's kind of hard, because especially if you're a creative person or a developer, and now suddenly I have to do all these things that I don't care about. So it took me a lot of time to actually figure out that I can offload that to someone else. And then it was about finding someone that I trust, that I can find an assistant who's going to do my emails for me and do my scheduling and do all that stuff. So that was a challenge because I didn't know how to do that. But once I figured that one out, then it was easy. So then I can just focus on my work.
And what things you are not delegating?
So I'm not delegating my work. So in terms of design and research and stuff, I'm not delegating that. And there is one piece around like the finance bit. I don't delegate finance bit. So I have my accountant and he runs stuff for me, but everything concerning invoicing and talking to clients about money, that's the thing that I still do. And then everything else is fine to delegate.
And what is the most nerve-consuming thing?
So it was finding new work and finding clients. And there's this big fear around where is my next paycheck coming from. When you start freelancing, you're in very uncertain water. Not a lot of people have a really good pipeline of projects coming in and clients and so on. So it can be nerve-wracking to think, oh, I'm finishing this project, I don't have anything lined up. And then people get into this flood and drought type of situation where during one period of year, there's a lot of work. Then it's summer, everybody goes somewhere, doesn't do work. And then it's kind of like, oh, no, I don't. So figuring out that part and then balancing out the income so it can last through those areas and seeing what can I do so I can supply myself with additional work so it always kind of stays the same. That was the biggest challenge, but now it's kind of balanced out after the years.
And if we are talking about finding clients, you are start doing it when you have like the current client or after finishing the work?
Oh, so when I started, I did everything wrong. So please take my advice because I'm clearly not using it, but I was not using it. But now what I would say is that a portion of your time should always be focused on finding new work, always. So even if somebody comes to you, now you're completely booked, you can say like, I love your project, I love your idea. At the moment, I can't take you on until next month. And that's good. Sometimes you will help clients who want to work with you and they will say, no problem, we're going to wait. And they will wait for you for a month. Some people will be like, sorry, we need someone today. And that's also fine. But you need to be okay with leaving money on the table and knowing that you have work coming in. As long as this machine that generates business is working, you know that once you're done, you're going to have something lined up. And I've done a couple of times where a project would come in. I didn't want to leave money on the table, but I would pick it up and then I would, because I was an agency at some point, I would hire other freelancers that they would work with me. So I would act more as a project manager or a project director and then work with them. And I was very upfront and open with my clients about it. So like, I'm completely busy. I will not be working personally on this. I have a colleague that I trust that is really good that will be working with me. I'm going to be overseeing the thing. It's going to cost you the same. So I would split the earnings with the freelancer, and I'm very upfront about it. But now in the last couple of years, I'm mostly focused on one thing, one client, do the work, and then find something else.
Yeah, it was my next question. If you refer somebody, and you already answered it, so thank you very much. And as a freelancer, do you ever feel professional loneliness?
Oh, absolutely. So there's been moments where it's easy to feel alone and isolated. And this is one of the things that I talk about very openly is find a community that you can belong to. So 9 a.m. is a great example of this is the people that are like me. We are not necessarily working together, but we are in the same type of life situations. And I'm always very upfront and I'm very open about sharing things, how I feel and what I'm doing at the moment. And like, oh, this has been a stressful day. And there are people like, oh yeah, me too. And then we kind of talk about it. And there's been a couple of really great communities that I've been part of where I feel kind of within the same type of people where I can share. And I even ran a community before COVID in London. And our motto was, we perform alone, but we thrive in a community. So like you find basically your tribe and just try to stick with them.
I like it very much. And okay, so if your friend wanted to become a freelancer, what are top 3 things you'd advise them to consider before doing it?
So when I started giving advice in general, years ago, I was saying, oh, quit your job and start freelancing. Yeah, that was a very bad advice. So don't do that. Don't quit your job, because I did that and it was a lot of struggle. So now if somebody actually wants to go freelancing, depending on who they are, if they already have work experience, they have some knowledge, and they want to transition from a 9-to-5 career into freelancing, my advice would be find something first that will sustain you. Build a backlog or build like a safety net with your money first, so that you know once you quit that you have 3 months or 6 months to find your first client that's going to sustain you. So don't rush into it. If somebody's starting out, if somebody's younger, doesn't have too much experience within the business altogether, I would say find a job, work it for a couple of years, figure out how things work. So when you become freelancer, you can navigate the thing. That would be number 2. And then number 3 is figure out fairly quickly what you are amazing at and niche down to that. Don't do everything. Don't be the cheapest person that does everything. Find one specific thing that you're good at, charge a lot of money for it, and then see within your network and within your peers who you can partner with so you can offer a complete service. Just because I don't do marketing doesn't mean that I don't work with amazing marketers that can always supplement my services.
Yeah, totally agree. Find the great people and team around. You know, Tom, I wish to have the sky is the limit, but time is the limit. So the final question, if you were starting freelancing today, what is the one thing you would have done differently? For sure, except for quitting your job right away.
Beside the things that I just mentioned, it would be building my personal brand from ground up as who I want to present as. So defining who I am. And one thing that I say to my mentees when I'm mentoring is a lot of people would say, find your ideal customer. Who is your ideal client? And everybody will say, oh, my ideal client is a company that has all the money, who's going to pay me on time, who's going to give me a great project, of course. But I like to flip that and say, who are you for your ideal client? So why would they pick you out of all of the other people who apply to work with them? So if I'm in, for example, an outdoor climbing brand and I just do outdoor climbing equipment, why would I choose you than everybody else? So if you're a designer who's also an outdoor sports person and loves to doing all of this thing, and you specialize in working with sport brands, you can say like, I'm a brand designer, I work with sports brand, I'm an outdoor person. So they'll say, okay, this guy gets us, so this woman, whatever. So they know, they will understand our brand. So if you can niche down and then approach clients that speak to you personally and you speak to them, so you're kind of the same level, this would be the number one thing. Then it's just easy. So you know, I'm a type of designer, works only with these types of brands, and then it's kind of easy. So same thing is if you're a developer, you're a full stack developer, I want to work with everybody. Not everybody needs you. So who you want to work with? Big companies, startups, want to work on what type of projects. So it's kind of, this is how I ended up in B2B business software and dashboards, because I really enjoy data visualization and solving complex problems. Not everybody does it. Somebody wants to build the next Facebook. So it's kind of finding out what you want to do and then coming to your client. It's like, this is what I enjoy. This is what I think about. This is the type of work that I do. And then it's way easier to hire you.
Yeah, the easiest way is just to start doing it, you know. So, Tom, thank you so much for sharing your challenges. It's been so great to talk to you and learn from you.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button or 5 stars and share it with your friend. That's it. God damn it. That's it. We're done. And see you in the next episode.